you clicked on this video and saw the little sisters from BioShock and you thought, oh man, yeah, that's a tough decision to make. I actually had a lot of trouble with that. Then you may have to go and see a psychiatrist. But today we're going to look at some of the hardest video game moral choices, and we're also going to see what the internet picked from a selection of polls, which, as we all know, is invaluable data. So it's time for What Culture Gaming to discuss some hard game choices.
Destroy the Geth heretics or rewrite them.
Oh, I like this one. That's cool way to start.
Geth, the heretics have adapted a Reaper virus which they intend to use to compel the true Geth to fight for the Reapers against organic life. As a powerful race who evicted their own creators from their homeworld, this could be fatal to the galaxy. As it turns out, the virus is destroyed regardless, but what happens to the heretics is left to the player. Destroy the heretics, permanently dealing with the threat, or rewrite them, forcing them to accept the true Geth's viewpoint, but at the cost of making the Geth as a whole stronger, and raising a question as to their stance on organic life going forward. As per a Reddit poll, players chose to rewrite. Destroying the heretics is considered genocide, something that would be unacceptable in the case of organics, so why should it be acceptable against synthetics?
Okay, well, this is a really tough choice to make, though, because if you rewrite the Geth, the whole situation is there are these artificial intelligent life forms, robots called Geth. There is a group that is on the side of the main antagonist, and there's a group that's not on the side of the main antagonist. And you go into the base of the people that are on the side of the main antagonist, and you have the option. You can either genocide all of them, just murder all of them, or you can forcibly rewrite their code so that they are on the normal side of the cool guys that don't ally with the Reapers, who are the main antagonists. And it's a really interesting moral question, because if you rewrite them, that's basically just forcibly brainwashing them. But at the same time, the Reapers also forcibly brainwash them. So it's a little bit of a tough one. Is it okay for you to then anti-brainwash them, but also brainwash them into being on a certain side? Or is it better to kill them? They're AI. Do they even have free will to begin with? That's a big question in Mass Effect. In fact, one of the biggest questions in the entire series is, is AI a good idea? Or should we not do AI? Maybe that's a bad idea, actually. I always rewrite it because I thought it was better than killing. I think it's a hard one.
Rewriting them is ethically problematic. You are brainwashing a sentient species into accepting a viewpoint they are directly opposed to. Doing so adds significantly to the Geth's strength, which, if you can get them on side, would make them invaluable allies against the Reapers.
So are you just doing it because you want them on your side so you can fight against the Reapers better? Or are you doing it for the altruistic reasons of, I think it's actually the correct thing to do? I don't know. It's a tough one.
Exterminate the mages or destroy the Templars. Dragon Age 2. Tensions simmer between the city of Kirkwall's mages and Templars. The Templars are guilty of brutally oppressing the mages, while the mages are guilty of practicing forbidden magic that increases their risk of demonic possession. The matter comes to a head when Anders, a rogue mage and member of the player's party, destroys the chantry. This ignites a fight to the death between the two factions, making the player partially responsible and potentially forcing them to kill beloved characters. Players must choose between personally executing Anders and siding with the Templars, or allowing him to go free and siding with the mages. As seen in a Reddit poll, the majority side with the mages.
Yeah, I sided with the mages as well. I always thought this was a pretty clear-cut decision to make, because the Templars across Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2, the Templars were such arseholes. They were the biggest dickheads. They just come along and they're just like, we should enslave all of the mages because it's for their own good, guys. Because if the mages, if they do too much magic, then they'll get absorbed by demons, which is a thing that will happen in Dragon Age. If you do magic wrong, then you'll get absorbed by a demon, and then the demon comes into the real world, reaps havoc, and it's a big shalabaloo. That's dangerous. True, but the answer to just lock all mages in a tower and oppress them, keep them enslaved, but still allow them to practice a little bit of magic while also under heavy supervision, you kind of want to be a freedom fighter in this situation. You don't want to be on the side of the guys that are like, actually, no, we need to enslave them all. You're too dangerous, guys. Just because you're different to me, you could also summon demons. So that's kind of tough. The more I think about this, maybe it'd be better in the long run if the mages were oppressed. No, that's bad. I can't get into that mindset.
With the Templars is seen as participating in the massacre of a group of innocent people, guilty of nothing more than being born different.
I could never kill Anders because he was cool and he had a good fit. I love the feather fit. The feathers on the shoulders, really cool. I like that.
Suffered from terrible persecution because of it. While the pro-mage players acknowledge that some mages are out of control, that is not considered justification for wholesale murder, especially not when many were driven to evil by persecution at the hands of the Templars.
Exactly, they are freedom fighters. The whole reason that they did the forbidden magic was because of the fact that they were oppressed and they needed to find a way to break their chains, which inadvertently caused more violence and more death and destruction to happen. Why is it always the same in these stories? It's like, we're oppressing you for your own good, actually. And they turn around and we're like, well, we're going to do the crazy stuff now because you were oppressing us. We wouldn't have done the crazy stuff if you weren't oppressing us in the first place. It's like a parent that wants to protect a child, except the child is a fully grown adult individual and they don't actually know how to protect them. They just think that they know and oppress them because of it.
It's a question of risk justifying oppression, and the answer is no. Number 8. Family, the innocent, or riches. Fable 2. During the course of their adventure, the protagonist, the hero, embarks on a quest to find the Spire, a lost tower with the power to grant wishes. During the adventure, they lose their sister, their dog, and potentially their family, as well as witnessing the deaths of the hundreds of innocent slaves forced to rebuild the Spire. The Spire has the power to resurrect some, but not all.
I always thought that the Fable choices, the moral choices, were just kind of silly. Literally, there is an area in Fable where in order to enter, you have to eat baby chickens. You just eat baby chicks. They're alive in your hands. You just consume them. And then the entire point of the area is to go in and sacrifice your loved ones. It's crazy. Fable is not the difficult moral choice simulator. It's either be super angelically good or incredibly demonically bad.
The player can choose sacrifice, which returns the slaves to life, but at the cost of their family and dog. The player can choose love, which returns their sister, family, and dog to life, but at the cost of the slaves. Or the player can choose wealth, in which case they receive 1 million gold, but their loved ones and the slaves stay dead.
That's such a funny choice to make. I get being really conflicted between choosing the thousands of slaves who have died, but you don't know them, or your personal family, your sister, and your dog, because, spoiler alert for these games, by the way, obviously these games are gonna get spoiled. At the end of the game, the main bad guy just shoots your dog, and then your dog is just dead. So you're like, oh, God, man, I kind of want my dog back. But is it okay? Is it okay to revive your dog and your sister, to be fair, over thousands of slaves that you don't know? I don't know. I don't know what I'd do in this situation. It's easy enough to say I would revive the slaves because I'm a good person. And I would always be a good person. I would never be a bad person. I would always be good. But I don't know what I would choose. If it's your sister and your dog, it's tough.
Players in a poll chose love. The reason is surprising. Though admitting that they didn't think that they would care so much for the feature, the majority of players grew to love their dog and family enough to want them back. The attachment was so strong that even among players who chose sacrifice, citing it as the selfish choice, many reloaded and chose love instead, proving that blood really is thicker than water. Number 7. Harvest the little sisters or free them.
This is not a hard moral quandary. Maybe it is the first time that you play BioShock because you got a help person over the radio saying, actually, you should eat the little girls because it'll give you more power. They're little girls. Come on.
In order to survive in the hostile city of Rapture, players need to upgrade their abilities and purchase new ones. But these abilities come at the cost of Adam, a substance manufactured by little sisters. Little girls genetically twisted into creepy walking Adam refineries. Problem is, harvesting the Adam kills the little sister. Players can harvest the little sisters, instantly gaining a large amount of Adam, or players can free them, walking the more difficult path in exchange for the promise, not the guarantee, of a greater reward down the road.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate for a bit. Okay, so the little sisters in BioShock, they're actually not little girls. They are mind-slaved. They are not the same people that they were before. They're basically automatons to go around and gather drugs from decomposing corpses. Maybe you personally need the power boost of increased Adam so that you can save the rest of the denizens of the city. Any of the other children that haven't been indoctrinated and haven't had their lives destroyed by turning into a little sister. Maybe you can use the power to save them, actually. Is that the moral backflips that you need to do to get yourself in the mindset of actually killing the little girls is a good idea? The funny thing is, if you don't kill the little girls, then you also get the best ending, but you also get I think, almost as much Adam as you would have otherwise, but you also get cool plasmids like Hypnotize Big Daddy, so you can get a Big Daddy on your side, which is like way cooler than just killing little girls.
For a poll we found, the vote comes down to overwhelmingly in favor of freeing the little sisters.
It would be crazy if the poll was even remotely close. I can't even imagine how that would have happened. I'm not surprised at all.
Some players took the pragmatic option and argued that BioShock is a video game, and that to have the most fun, they want to become as powerful as possible as quickly as possible.
Actually, when I play a game, in order to have the most fun, I have to kill the kids. You don't understand. Like, I need to kill the kids. It's the only way I can have fun on these games, right? Okay?
The majority, though, took the ethical and emotional option. These are children, forcibly corrupted by those that should have protected them, and the thought of murdering them for personal gain weighed too heavily on their conscience. Number 6. The Railroad, the Institute, the Brotherhood, or the Minutemen.
This one is kind of a tough one, because the more that you learn about the certain factions, the more you're like, oh, I don't know, I'm going back and forth and back and forth. And there are some endings where you can cross over a couple of the factions, like the Minutemen can work side by side with the Railroad or maybe the Brotherhood. But this one's a little bit more gray.
Well, that fall. When the Institute's practice of producing and using sentient synthetic human lookalikes known as synths as scouts and soldiers brings them into conflict with the pro-synth Railroad, the conflict attracts the attention of the technology-hoarding Brotherhood of Steel. This creates a three-way battle that the local militia, the Minutemen, inevitably finds itself being dragged into as well. The victor will go on to control the Commonwealth and determine the fate of its citizens. Players must choose to align with either the Brotherhood, the Railroad, the Institute, or the Minutemen, a choice made more difficult by the fact that the Institute's leader is the player character's son. As per a poll we found, the majority of players chose to side with the Brotherhood. While the Railroad focused exclusively on the synths, the Institute focused on furthering scientific experimentation, and the Minutemen, suffering from a lack of resources, players took the pragmatic stance.
It is really funny that everyone sided with the Brotherhood, considering that the Brotherhood in Fallout 4 is not the same Brotherhood as in Fallout 3, and Brotherhood in Fallout 3 is all very benevolent of, oh, we need to help the Wastelanders, we need to give water to everyone. But the Brotherhood in Fallout 4, while they're part of the same chapter, when they come over to Boston, they're like, well, we just need to genocide this synthetic people, actually. Like, we just need to do that. And when you think about it for a little bit, if the synthetic people do have free will and the artificial intelligence is advanced enough to where they are really people, first off, is it a good idea for the Institute to make them in the first place? Probably not, but that's a different conversation. Secondly, the Brotherhood are just like straight up like, we need to do genocide. We have to kill them all right now. We have to kill them all right now. The Railroad is a bit pretentious. They're a bit dickheads, but I guess they are correct. If the synths are people, then you gotta release them. You can't have them just be indentured servitudes the entire time. And the Minutemen are just happy-go-lucky, let's make some settlements. That's fine. That's fun. I think the Minutemen and the Brotherhood was the first playthrough that I did. Probably not the actually correct way that you should play if you're gonna be the nice guy. But, counterpoint, the Brotherhood has very cool armor. And how can you argue with people that have cool armor and looks like knights in shining armor? They look really cool and have laser weapons, and also have a big robot that throw bomb and do big laser. So how can you argue with that? I don't think that you can.
Though harsh in their methods and xenophobic in their outlook, only the Brotherhood possesses the training, equipment, discipline, will, and code of honor to bring lasting peace and stability to the Commonwealth.
Code of honor? It's funny, the Brotherhood isn't even supposed to do that. The entire point of the Brotherhood when they were made in Fallout was they just want to hoard technology. They're like, we don't trust these scabby, gross, and unwashed wastelanders with any technology. We have to have all of the technology, and they're not allowed the technology. It's only us.
The Imperials or the Stormcloaks? Who will rule? The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim. The Imperial province of Skyrim is in a state of civil war. The situation is complex. Facing defeat at the hands of the Elven Thalmor, the Empire sues for peace, but at the cost of outlawing Talos warship. This angers many local Nords, who, led by Ulfric Stormcloak, rebel, seeking to establish an independent Skyrim. This in turn risks an invasion by the Thalmor. In response, the Empire, seeking to maintain peace with the Thalmor and retain its province, takes up arms to stamp out the rebellion. In the balance hangs the freedom of all Skyrim's citizens. Players must choose between the Empire or the Stormcloaks, and whoever they choose wins control over Skyrim.
I don't think any of these options are good. I've thought about this a lot, and I've always been on the side of the Imperials, and maybe that's the Britishness in me showing like, oh, of course, the Englishman would be the colonialist. Of course he's on the side of the Imperial project. Of course he would be. But I think that it's probably best for everyone overall because it's better to have a united front against the Thalmor, who are massive dicks. Now, is it the correct moral stance to be against the Thalmor? Probably, because they just think that everyone is below them and they're like hyper-racism. They're generally not good people. And the Stormcloaks are just assholes. It reminds me of the Brexit geezer that's like, listen, if you're not English, don't come to England. As simple as that. If you're not Nord, don't go to Skyrim. That's all we're saying. If you don't speak Nordic, don't go Skyrim. Which they're just massive assholes. They're massive assholes of the Dark Elves. And the Dark Elves went through this whole thing where the homeland exploded, so they refugeed over to Skyrim because it's the only place they knew where to go. And then they got all this racism coming down on them. And they just give this really bad impression off. And if the Imperial provinces are all united, then you can fight Thalmor because the Thalmor are going to start another war. And if they're disjointed and disunited, then it's going to be a lot more difficult. Could Skyrim beat the Thalmor? Maybe they could because the province is very hardy, very tough, and they've got a lot of fighters. And you could do guerrilla warfare like they did in Hammerfell, which is how Hammerfell didn't fall to the Thalmor, so maybe they could win. Oh man, this is a tough one. I to this day, I still don't know what the right answer is. I think there is no right answer. I think the correct answer is just destroy all of the empires and just start over.
According to a poll we found, the majority of players, including me, sided with the Empire. The Stormcloaks are seen as arrogant, racist, nationalistic extremists, too wrapped up in their resentment over the ban on traditional worship to understand the bigger picture. And
True, but also, like, colonialism very bad, though. Join the Imperials, but also kill the Emperor? Base choice, correct choice.
who, because of it, would almost certainly lose a war with the Thalmor. But the vote is not an outright majority, and while the Empire is seen as more likable, they're not necessarily seen as morally superior, making this more a vote against the Stormcloaks rather than for the Empire. Number 4. Who should have access to electricity? Fallout New Vegas.
Okay, of all the moral choices in Fallout New Vegas, who should have access to electricity is not the one I thought they would go for.
In the quest That Lucky Old Sun, players are tasked with bringing the Helios 1 solar power plant back online. Succeed and they must choose which among the citizens of the post-apocalyptic Mojave wasteland get benefit from the newfound electricity supply, and the better quality of life that comes with it. There are 5. Divert power to the wealthy New California Republic home states, the NCR-controlled Camp McCarran, and the New Vegas Strip, earning NCR fame. Divert power to the poor areas around the Strip, earning fame from the altruistic followers of the apocalypse. Divert power equally to all areas, but at the cost of limited power supply all round with frequent brownouts. Divert power to the Archimedes 2 orbital weapon system, allowing players to use it, or overload the plant, preventing any future misuse of Archimedes 2.
No one can be trusted with the power plant. We must destroy the power plant so no one has power. Obviously, the good boy option is to give the electricity to the poor people because they probably don't have electricity otherwise. New California Public's probably fine right now. They don't really need it. If you give it to everyone, do you really give it to anyone? Because it's constantly going to be dropping out. It'd be like giving internet to everyone around the world, no matter how isolated you are, no matter what island that you live on, except everybody has AOL internet. And everyone has disconnecting internet. Everyone has dial-up, but everyone has the internet. But is it worth it? Do you really want the internet if it's cutting out all the time and it's doing the dial-up and it's doing that me? I guess most people watching this have never had dial-up internet, but believe me, it was bad. You don't want it. Yeah, honestly, give it to Freeside.
As per a poll we found, players chose the egalitarian option and distributed power equally. The belief is that electricity is
I don't want
a
dial-up
fundamental
internet.
human need, and though the power output will be low,
Oh, hold on. Giving it to everyone doesn't mean that the other people don't already have it. Because one of the options was to give it to the Strip. If you go on the Strip, it is lit up like hellfire. There's so much electricity already on the Strip. They don't need it. They have so much already. If you go to the New California Republic, they have like cars and like TVs and stuff. They don't need it. Freeside just barely has anything. They have scraps to live off of. So if anything, you should be giving it to Freeside.
and suffer from disruption, at least everybody gets to benefit. A sentiment that even those players who sided with the NCR agree with. Number 3. Save your wife or your savior. Resident Evil 7.
I've never played this one.
For his missing wife, protagonist Ethan Winters stumbles into a house of horrors inhabited by the Bakers, a family driven insane by a weaponized viral infection. Throughout the game, Baker family member Zoe helps Ethan in his quest, including saving his life, in the hope that by doing so, she can cure her family of the infection. In the end, Ethan ends up with 1 dose of the cure and 2 women who need it. Players must choose between their wife or the woman who is arguably solely responsible for their continued survival.
Oh, that's tough. Where would you go with that? I mean, the original point of going there was to find your wife. There's only one dose of the cure. Oh, could you like take it and get it desynthesized in a lab? Could you carry them both to safety? Well, that's a hard one.
Not surprisingly, as per a poll we found, most players chose to save Mia. She is, after all, Ethan's and, in a real sense, the player's wife.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say, if you save the other girl, then you have a new wife.
Who Ethan loved enough to endure all the pain and horror inflicted on him.
Oh my God!
People chose to save Zoe, citing their distrust of Mia, and that Zoe is an innocent victim of the infection, and the fact that without her help, Ethan would be dead. In other words,
is Mia not also an innocent victim of the infection, though?
Mia might be Ethan's wife, but Zoe earned the cure. Still, in the end, Mia gets the vote, proving once again that blood is still thicker than water. Number 2, what will the fate of the Reapers and the galaxy be?
Oh man, the ending to Mass Effect. I think I've ranted about the ending to Mass Effect on this channel before, but it is so sad that everything in a 3-game series that I'd waited 5 years for led up to this.
Mass Effect 3. The races of the Milky Way galaxy are facing extinction at the hands of the alien Reapers. With an ancient superweapon granting them one last desperate means to defeat the invaders, it falls to players to decide exactly what the future for all sides will be. There are 3 choices. Players can choose to destroy the Reapers, but at the cost of killing all synthetic life, Geth allies, squadmate Edie, and the partially synthetic Shepard among them. They can choose to control the Reapers, but at the cost of Shepard's life, or they can choose synthesis, merging synthetic and organic life into a new form. The verdict? Destroy. Most players see control as being too risky. The Reapers may—
I think control was never even an option. I don't know, maybe it was for other people. Control was literally never even an option for me. Synthesis was maybe, but the idea that leaving the Reapers alive, which is literally a massive, super intelligent, hyper advanced race whose only purpose was to eradicate and genocide untold trillions of people over tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of years, just seemed like a really bad idea to me. So even if you have to destroy the AI, even if you have to kind of rebuild from the ground up, the sacrifice of the Geth, which is very sad because they eventually became self-aware and it was a cool little cute story. If you managed to get them to ally with the Quarians, it's very, very cute. And the sacrifice of what, Edie? My personal attachment to Edie, who is cool, I do like that character, and she has a very hot, sexy body in Mass Effect 3, so that's cool too. It's not enough to be like, oh, well, actually, we should put the entire galaxy and every single race that will ever be created in the future in danger, just so that I can have, what, cool Reaper things? Just so I can keep my Edie hot, sexy robot body? That's not a good idea.
Powerful to control, and Shepard, now a Reaper himself, may be corrupted into following Reaper ideology. The synthesis option is seen as too idealistic and erases the diversity that makes people people. Also, the green eyes are creepy.
Also, you're forcing, what, robot parts into everyone around the world without their consent? I mean, there's an argument to be made that that's a pretty bad idea as well. Oh, this is about the Resident Evil 7 moment. If you take the savior and save her, she ends up dead anyway. Out of the 2 endings, she's the only one that ends up surviving. What? Wait, why would they do that? What's the point? That's silly.
Only the destroy option, though it comes at great cost, definitively ends the threat of the Reapers and completes the mission players embarked on all the way back in Mass Effect 1.
Literally, the entire story of the whole series is to find a way to destroy the Reapers, because otherwise they will just genocide everyone forever. Controlling them, what does that even mean? How long are you going to control them for? Are you a consciousness that has just superseded all reality and you're just going to live forever? What if your consciousness dies? What if eventually you go wacky crazy and you decide, actually, maybe we should do some genocide? That sounds fun. I'm kind of bored right now. All I do is sit around all day with these Reapers and I just kind of chill and then I don't really do much, so maybe I'll just do it. And if you do synthesis, what if they just decide that they don't like you anymore? How is combining AI and organics gonna make everything hunky-dory forever? It's not gonna make people not fight each other anymore. Everyone just comes together and sings Kumbaya and says, actually, we'll never fight ever again. No one's ever gonna get angry anymore. Are you removing people's emotions so that they cannot feel anger towards anyone else, so that you stop violence and conflict that way? That also sounds like a moral quandary that maybe you shouldn't be doing that.
Number 1, end human augmentation or allow it to continue. Deus Ex: Human Revolution. In a bid to end human augmentation, a disillusioned member of the Illuminati sabotages a biochip upgrade for augmented people, driving them violently insane. It's up to players to decide what happens next, determining the fate of human augmentation and human evolution itself. There are 4 choices here. Reveal the truth behind the incident, leading to the end of human augmentation, heavily regulate augmentation, handing control to the Illuminati, frame anti-augmentation extremists.
Okay, you could have given them like any other name. Like regulating augmentation sounds like it should make sense in theory because completely unregulated augmentation just sounds like a really, really bad idea. But handing control to the Illuminati of all names, it could have been the Groominati. Okay, the Groominati does not sound like that. Sounds like the Illuminati, the Groom's kids. Never mind. I'll hand it to the Boomabati. There you go. That group. That sounds like I would trust them. The Boomabati. I trust them. Don't trust the Illuminati though.
Allowing augmentation to continue, or keep the true nature of the incident a secret and let humanity decide for itself.
Wait, if you're keeping the whole situation a secret, then that's not letting humanity truly decide with the information that they need, though.
According to a poll we found, players chose for augmentation to continue. The consensus is that it's human nature to push the boundaries, and to curtail our drive for progress is to stagnate and waste our potential. Augmentation has also done enormous
What's
good,
our potential?
helping amputees walk, the blind to see, and increasing productivity. And given time,
increasing productivity. Let's go, baby! Capitalism, let's go! We got a 5% increase in productivity. Yes, our stock price is skyrocketing. If you work for this company, you have to have augmented eyes. We're gonna rip out your eyes and put in new eyes so that we can get more productivity, baby. You know, that probably would be a requirement for the future. If you're gonna work at a certain company, it's like, well, you have to have our Google augmentations so that we can install brain chips to make you smarter and better at working so that we can increase our bottom line. I bet that, see, that's a problem, right? You don't want that. And if you don't get a job at these companies, they're gonna be megacorps. And if you don't get a job at these companies, then you're going to be on the streets because there's only going to be 3 companies. It's going to be Disney, Google, and Amazon. And you're going to have brain chips. Who's excited for the brain chips? I'm hyped.
could realize its promise of a new human utopia. And while the potential for abuse is rife, as the ending cutscene says, won't achieving the dream be worth it? We can become the gods we've always been striving to be.
Why? Why do we have to be gods? Why can't we just be guys and gals and non-binary pals? Why can't we do that? I feel like that would be a better idea. I feel like that'd be safer for us all. We just chill. Maybe you get some augmentations. If you lose a limb, you can get an arm. That sounds cool. We'll just leave it at that. If you're blind, you can get a new eye. Oh, that seems like enough. We don't have to push any further. If you have any different thoughts, then let me know. And let me know what you think of the face tracker. And get some G-subs because you get 10% off my G-subs, the code patterrz. Anyway, if you want me to react to something, let me know in my Discord server. Bye.